So please, this is your moment. You could just make a few comments on the issue of schools, and then I think we will be done for the day.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. I am not castigating the Fourth Estate, but they have a way they do things, which to us is not logical, but that's the way they do things. Honorable Chair, the government of the Republic of Kenya closed all learning institutions on the 15th of March 2020 after the first case of COVID was reported in the country. This was part of the measures put in place to control the spread of the disease. To ensure continuity of learning during COVID containment period, the government instituted several remote learning interventions. This included lessons and digital content through the radio, television, and Kenya Education Cloud for basic education institutions. Some international schools were also able to transition to remote teaching and learning using technology. Several tier institutions and universities introduced virtual learning, and some institutions have since conducted assessments and examinations and graduations online. The Commission for University Education (KIO) has also instituted online processes for quality assurance of universities. To facilitate the reopening of all learning institutions, the Ministry sought the feedback of several stakeholders, which informed the following decisions. Honorable Chair, the reopening of all learning institutions should take cognizance of the guiding principles of the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education. These guiding principles are reducing contact in learning institutions by having fewer learners at the same time, but I hasten to say, Honorable Chair, that having personally visited our basic institutions, we shall not achieve what we call social distance. It is a fact. If you want, you can go and interrogate yourself, and yet the children must open and go back to school. Social distancing, hand washing with soap, or use of sanitizers, wearing of masks and shields. So, in order to explain to the honorable members, masks are going to be mandatory for every learner, and yet the taxpayer base for government has reduced. So we have moved around to look for masks, and I'm glad to say that UNICEF is going to make masks, about 700,000 of them, and we are going to identify the schools which are vulnerable in the slums. And today, this morning, I was also happy to have gone to KCB, and they have also accepted making another 1 million masks. We are going to look for the people who are vulnerable, who cannot afford masks, and they will be given masks. As far as water is concerned in schools, Mr. Chairman, we went as early as 5 months ago to map out the water containment facilities in schools across the country. And I want to recognize the role of the members of parliament in providing water containers. There are some constituencies where members of parliament have brought containers for every school that is in that constituency, and this is thoroughly commendable. So as far as storage is concerned, we are not worried. There are schools with boreholes and there are schools with piped water. There are also schools with water facilities not very far away, and we are now looking at situations where we can get a cheap means of getting waters to the school, because our contractors, most of them are mercenaries, and I say so without fear of contradiction. My job is to get water to the school, so we are going to use systems that are cheap to get waters to the school. Having said so, Mr. Chairman, we shall still have a few schools that will require water to be carried from point A to B. The government is going to map out this. In fact, we are going to create a command and control center as soon as schools reopen. We are going to create a command and control center to monitor whether the very basics are available, apart from social distancing. Mr. Chairman, as far as thermogans are concerned, there is also a private entity that is going to apply thermogans, at least one, to every secondary school. I'm currently negotiating with the KCB persuading them to see if they can also do the same for primary school. And then what will be remaining is soap and sanitizer. And I think it is time to reopen schools according to the committee that I had. Honorable Association is there. But what we are doing right now is ensuring that we do the best that we can, because right now in the region we are the only ones who are not open. So as we look at how we can improve the situation, especially masks and what have you, the issue of desks is ongoing. I hope there will be nobody going to court to stop the desk going to the poor children. And anything else, Honorable Chair, that I think you will have heard from the media yesterday that I sent some document allowing universities and TVETs and all other colleges, nursing schools to open for their final year students, and further empowered their organs to move forward from there. But we are going to observe, because we got some money from World Bank. We got some money from World Bank, which we are supposed to use to monitor what is happening. So the government is not going to sit and wait. We are going to monitor, and if these adults are okay, and with thorough consultation, we may then bite the bullet and allow our children. And the concept is to start with the examination class. I can see Honorable Milemba shaking his head, but if you look at the map, I'm sure you see this. It is not my decision. In fact, mimi ni Surambaya too. Whatever I say is because the experts, the experts, the associations of this world, everybody, we sat down behind the back room and talked about this severally and agreed what kind of risks we are going to take. And the precaution we are taking is because we are seeing what we are having on the ground is nearing there. The teachers, with permission of government, were recalled to schools only a few days ago. And we are going to work with them to ensure that no child is necessarily exposed. In any case, Mr. Chairman, allow me to tell you that most of the children are not at home. They are not at school. They are not at home. Where are they? So once we ensure that they are reasonably safe in schools, we want them in schools where they can be controlled. But this decision will be made by everybody. Don't look at me with bad eyes, because everybody will have to agree. Everybody, you, the presidency, myself, and the stakeholders. And I think it is about time, because if you look at around us, Tanzania and Burundi never closed. Uganda, which is as cautious as us, already opened. Zambia has opened. Angola has opened, and many others. So we are the only red in the map. And we are not animals, we are human beings. So, Mr. Chairman, in order to mitigate what I have told you about, we want to continue to ensure, even from the exchequer through cabinet, that we keep on asking for money, which we know is not there, because the task base has disappeared. With the opening of the bars, we are hoping that the tax base will come up, and some of the monies we are looking for, Mr. Chairman, will be made available. So the decision regarding opening of learning institutions may change. What I'm saying is that I cannot give you a date, but I can assure you that the government of the Republic of Kenya is taking everything into consideration. And once there is consensus, because the technical experts have already pronounced themselves, it is now government which is saying what the technical experts have said, is it possible to move with it? And like I've told you, we are going to create a command and control center. And if we find out that we are ready to go, Mr. Chairman, pronouncement will be made very soon in the positive direction, not the negative one, because the negative one is already there for January 2020. And the question we must ask ourselves as bona fide Kenyans, what is going to be different in January 2021? What is going to be different? Now, if what is going to be different is not significant, then we need to move slowly and steadily towards a consensus. Mr. Chairman, what had been agreed earlier, which is in this paper, I think we have only said that we should open the tertiary institutions. I am not allowed still, because consultation is ongoing, and we shall continue to consult until Monday. And that consultation will depend on what we have picked from the field, because we want to identify the weakest points, the weakest links that require immediate action. For example, there are schools around Lake Bogoria and Lake Baringo and Lake Victoria, including the one in Marakwet that was swept away. We want to confirm that those children have already been placed elsewhere and that capacity and ability is in those places. So don't say I'm flip-flopping, because I never flip-flop. The people who flip-flop are the fourth estate. And I'm telling them to their faces, Mr. Chairman. So I can't give you a definite date, but I can only assure you, maybe off camera, that I can talk to you a little bit more openly in your capacity as chair, that it is time to open, and as His Excellency the President said, we just need to know the how. And like I have said, even if we were to delay until January, you can't say that there will be a much bigger difference. I beg to submit and also ask you to protect me from any other questions on this one, because Mr. Chairman, because Mr. Chairman, very kindly, I am not at liberty to pronounce myself on issues which we have not agreed with my principal.
Well noted, well noted. Before the hands go up,
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Before the hands go up, please, for a minute, I just wanted to make a comment. Look, my committee will tell you that
masks. Waziri, you are saying you are looking for Kenya Commercial Bank. Sanitizers, you are looking for UNICEF. Another item, yes, thank you. Another item, you are looking for a donor. When education is a very prime thing in this country, it comes to education, masks. Let me put it before you, Waziri, that to get the mask for all the students in Kenya, 13 million or whatever number is, because you have the correct statistics, 3 of them are reusable. It's just 1 billion. No. Because at a cost of 20 shillings, mathematicians are here, my historian and economist at my level, 20 shillings per mask times 13 million students is just about $1 billion. Any mathematics in the house? Mathematician? And you are telling us we have to go to Kenya Commercial Bank. We have to go to UNICEF. So you really need to tell this country, without prejudice, that this is the model you have, so that you give hope. Education is within a timeline. A girl and a boy above a certain age may just fall out of school, and we are all educationists. Thank you. I know other members have something to say.
Thank you very much.
Professor,
thank you, yes, for this brief. I want to say that if there is any generation that is... When I listen to the CS telling us that they have been doing shopping of masks, all they are doing, we should not be talking of this million of masks have been delivered, they are ready, they have been delivered, even the sub-county level, this whatever is ready, that gives us hope. Then we know that we are not now ready to move forward. Lastly is the mixed actions by the ministry and TSC. Today TSC is sending a circular, tomorrow another circular is being sent by through the statement of the ministry team. So I think we are going to lose our generation. Let me say that having come from the village recently, there are children that will never be able to continue with the education system. We have lost them, they have lost hope, and to me, this is an issue that should be addressed seriously. Other than preparedness, how do we ensure that we restore these children to be able to come back and embrace the education system. Thank you, Chair.
Last one. Okay, I'll go. You are the last one because you know all these secrets. So you be speaking.
I have had statements which are giving hope for our children. Our children sincerely are stressed. Me, I have been on the ground. I have gone to very many schools, asking head teachers. Especially, I've been going around to know how the girl child is getting on. Teachers have tried to call children to school, especially to give them sanitary towels. But sincerely, these children are not there, as the CS said. Sometimes they come, half of them, some less than a half. That means we have a task ahead of us to restore that which can make these children to again restart accepting coming back to school. So yes, mine was to give an observation that today, at least what you have tried to give us, there is hope. Our children will go to school, and let us not always be prophets of doom that this thing will not go. We are optimistic that the COVID is going to go from Kenya, and our children are going to be in school, and those ones who have lost hope, we are going to install hope in them. Thank you so much for this report.
Thank you very much, Honorable Jerusha. Honorable Obara.
Thank you very much. Mine is just an observation. I want to agree with my colleague that, yes, there was very little going on in the schools. And
the social analysis of what students are doing, the effects of closure is so grave. Studies that have been given to us from Gender Recovery Center as a union is that they've treated 1,149 cases of gender-related violence cases, with 77 girls pregnant and 17 returning with infections of HIV because they cannot report these cases early enough. Mr. Chairman, at this point in time in the country, and I want to agree very, very strongly with the CS, because at the stakeholders meeting, that was working, were not taking tea. We were doing this analysis, taking data from the Ministry of Health. And now that there is sufficient evidence that positivity rate has come down, even if the arguments that it is only in the five counties, but there are indications that the community infection rate has also gone down. Kenya is a reference country in quality and access of education in Africa. But if we engage in politics of pulling in different directions, we are going to damage generations that will never recover. Mr. Chair, it is time to open schools, and everything will fall in place once that agreement has been reached. The rest will fall in place. The mask will come, water will come, because this is a country that mobilizing resources and doing things has not been so difficult. Even if we are talking about availability of 1 million masks when we need 30 million, that will be availed. There will be options, even if it means wiring capitation money to schools so that schools can procure locally. It is possible that that can be done. So, Mr. Chair, I want to speak in my own right now as a member of Parliament, not as a member of the committee of the CS, and I want to thank the CS for having led that committee very well with a full knowledge of medical background. Where we are at the moment, we will be fools as a country to continue keeping children outside and creating imaginary fear. The virus is not going to go away today. And the truth is, social distance will not be achieved. And it is not only in Kenya, it's global. It has not worked for schools. But yes, so we've got to negotiate now with the virus. And probably the other areas that we need to do is to ensure that there are masks, there are sanitizers. These are not difficult things to mobilize. And the World Health protocols that can be implemented may be implemented. And as I conclude, Mr. Chair, the argument of Kenya and the concern of Kenyans and learners was that we should recover the lost time. And this we've negotiated with teachers. If teachers are already back in schools and are analyzing the gaps, it would be wrong to keep them in suspense without knowing exactly what they will need to do, because teachers are prepared to recover. And this we said, and we've discussed right across, that we are ready to recover. And we even want our democracy. We don't want to be given a lot of prescriptions. School by school, we shall design, give us the timeline, when exams will be done, national exams, give us the timeline, then the rest will be democratically handled within schools. So, Mr. Chair, I do not wish to make a lot of statements, but I want to make a strong assertion and pronouncement here that our children are safer in schools than out of schools. And this is an analysis we have made in the entire continent of Africa, even as unions, that it's now time we bring back children to school. Then we deal with the issues. The bars are open, home, and they're not in school. They could be the customers in the bus. and so it's now time we bring all the children back to school and we deal with the challenges while they're in school. And I think Tanzania has been a very good guinea pig. We've talked with the teachers in Tanzania and they're telling us there are no issues at all. But in this country where we put in protective measures, and we shall be instituting protective measures, please open the schools, and we urge government, those consultations of the how, can they be fast-tracked so that the children can come back to school? Then we deal with the challenges when children are in school. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sossion. I think as CS makes his closing remarks, he will be glad to know that the nation has already communicated that the Education CS Magoha has told MPs it is time to reopen schools. Just, just out there. I've just
and the MPs have concurred.
That's what it's a 411. It's a 411. Education CS Magoha tells MPs it is time to reopen schools, argues that COVID-19 situation may remain the same even in January, and those are the kind of things. But we are here, we have heard you, we understand what you have said. As you give your final comments on this issue, maybe you can also think about the economic stimulus package for private schools that might never be able to open again. How do we help them get back? We are helping other industries to get back. Maybe we need to think about that. And then the mental health issue of children, because it is true. We are going to have to work with these children, whatever background they come with. We are going to have to help them figure out what happened over the last 7 months. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. On the mental health issue, we have decided that it may be safer to train the trainers, because we have 40,000 schools, and if we can't employ 40,000 teachers, we shall not have money to employ 40,000 nurses. So we are going to develop a concept with the PS and the other members of the team, where we shall look for funding to train teachers very quickly, some of them who are not trained in counseling, also to be able to counsel. I want to take away the fear that the country has. My glass has never been half empty, it is always half full. And in this regard, I want to give my solemn commitment, together with my team here, that all the children will be taken back to school. You are forgetting that when His Excellency pronounced himself on 100% transition, we went round and got girls who gave birth 3 years before and took them back to class. It was never in the news, but we took everybody back to school. So do not be afraid. We shall look for these children. Like I have said, we are going to have a command and control center, and no sub-county director will be safe, because they will have to be reporting to us in real time in this school who has not reported. And we shall go to the children's home. It is our duty to do so. So let us not be afraid that a large number of children will not be taken to school, because as we speak, people thought that only people who did exams in standard 8 went back to school. We mocked everybody. That was my brief. And the schools, some of them were at 150%. So I'm being told by the accounting officer that we already have money for training teachers, and then therefore this training can start yesterday, because we have teachers in schools. I agree with you that teachers were not in schools, and they were not in schools for their own safety.
but they are now there, and we are going to work with them to make sure that the schools are ready. The Command and Control Center will be actually on time. It will be 24 hours. Kanyanyaini Primary School, where I come from, I will want to know how many children have reported, who has not reported. That one who has not reported, where is his home? We shall go and carry him back to school. And for this period, this particular period, let any teacher attempt to send a child home. Because none other than His Excellency the President has expressed himself that all the children, irrespective of whether they owe or not, we must now give the other human face to the children. In terms of, I want to answer Kiarie. Bana Kiarie, Honorable Kiarie, I spent 3 weeks at Ngong Forest Primary School. I never saw you, but I was told it is because you are a politician. I even painted, and what shocked me there, and this is why I went cold on the school, there were over 12 classrooms unoccupied at Ngong Forest Primary School. So all I did was to get desks and carry all the children who are at Precious Talent and take them to Ngong Forest Primary School and to provide a bus for them. So if I slowed down, it is because I've had so much to do that I did not think that was a priority. I was actually shocked that half of the school was empty. So why do I'm not a politician, and I don't want to be one. Why do I waste my time trying to build another school when there is one that is ready and is half empty? You people tell me. So, but if you want us to go there,
Waziri, just for your information, Ngong Forest Primary School is
order.
This is
Mheshimiwa, you want to trust that I will give you a chance to, so that you don't have to force. Thank you.
I submit, and I know what he was going to say. Kenya is Kenya. There's one government. It's one government. So there are imaginary boundaries. Walking from Precious Talent Primary School to Ngong Forest is about 5 minutes. I did it several times. Do you get the point? His point is that that school is in another constituency. We are Kenyans. Is there any rule which says the children cannot go to that school? So I want to submit there and beg my brother Kiarie that I understand how he feels, and we shall move forward in that direction, but I've told you why I went slow. That's the only reason why I'm telling you. If you still want to move forward, we shall move in that direction, but I told you why I went slow, so you don't need to answer.
Chair, this is very critical, Chair.
Mheshimiwa Kiarie.
We
are now starting to prosecute. No, we're going to be prosecuting an issue that's...
And so, Waziri, why you did not see me at Ngong Forest Primary School is first because it is not in the Dagoretti constituency. Secondly, it is you who promised for a new school in Lenana. And the agreement had been for the Dagoretti CDF to give 10 million shillings, which they have allocated, and for the ministry to give the rest. So the direct question is, when are we breaking ground for Lenana Primary School?
You know that I had given that as a leeway for you to actually ask. So I suggest you are going to have to follow that up in the procedure, so that we don't prosecute, it here. And yes.